Okay, gotta test the audio one more time because I didn't press the go live button. It's been a while, a little rusty. Okay, gotta test the audio one more time. Alright, it sounds alright. I just gotta share a link around like usual. I think I got time before anyone actually starts viewing because it's been a while, which is understandable. Alright, almost ready. Gotta lower the screen now. Background light could be a bit brighter. These lights a bit closer. Fix my visor. Oh, hey Andrew, good job being first. Proud of you. Yeah, I'll just go with that background light for now. It's a little dark and ambiance with my crappy webcam. It's fine, that's just the corner, not the part people actually be paying attention to. Alright, first things first, we gotta re-moisten the wet palette. Which, as you can see, been using a bit already. I painted the Halo Flashpoint bricks, or I guess crates and random barricades from the terrain expansion set. I needed something easy to warm up with. And that didn't seem particularly exciting for stream, obviously. And I want to say I'm maybe like halfway through the first squad of Spartans. Kind of needed to figure out how I was going to paint them first before I did any streaming. Well, let's show off some Spartans, I guess. Hello, John. Thank you for showing up. So yeah, this is both of the Spartan edition and the Recon edition of Halo Flashpoint have like a blue and red version of the same Spartan teams, the kind of basic ones. So this one, everything but the base is finished. You can see we were going for a kind of a magenta lilac with like a cold gray blue. I, of course, naturally was going into this project being like, I'm gonna speed paint these, and then I did not speed paint them. I edge highlighted them a decent amount. I kind of did a speedy edge highlight job for my standards. Hopefully the camera focus isn't too wacky. So this is one that's finished other than the base. The base, I'm gonna give all of them a kind of like gray gradient. Dark at the back. Just because, you know, it's impossible for me to speed paint, I guess. So we're gonna paint a gradient on the base. And the idea is every Spartan team I'm gonna do, it's like all of them are gonna be the same color, but then each Spartan team of 4 is gonna be some different color to have fun with. Just 2, like a primary one and a secondary one. And yeah, these 3 Spartans. So these 2, they're pink magenta base coats done. I need to tidy up the other base coats and they're ready to get the wash. Putty on this one needs reinforcing. It's coming loose. Also, let me know if the mic and or background music is too loud or quiet. And yeah, this Spartan, the pink needs to be, we need to finish up that pink base coat. This was just kind of like the messy slopping on from the original, or the original like color blocking experimenting. So I guess let's paint this one. Or I might save this one for last just for the purposes of the stream, because these 2 I just need to tidy up the other base coats so then we can get the base coats on these ones done, get them washed, and then probably just edge highlight one of them for the remaining of the session. This is kind of like just a warming up, getting back into streaming thing, so I'm not holding myself to too many like time goals. Obviously, if I can get back into doing it regularly, I'll settle into something regular like I have before. Usually my streams are like 90 to 120 minutes. And yeah, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. The stuff needs to get painted either way, and I finally got the streaming setup of my computer and just my life in general back to a place where I can return to sharing some streaming or sharing some painting via stream with you all. And because this is like a one-off project, we're using a lot of paints that are just like random ones people have given to me, or random mixes that I don't need to worry about replicating across a whole army. So this is a random mix of acrylic inks and then a rebottled version of P3 Murders Magenta. So that's the rough mix that I'm applying here. I guess I'm gonna change my mind of the thing I just said and go to the one that needs the pink highlights, which I started automatically doing without thinking, because there is just a decent amount of pink on the palette still. And yes, the magenta is bleeding into the gray on the palette, but it's fine. It's no biggie. Okay. Looks like the camera focus is good. I'll try to keep my eye on it. And I'll be applying good old Nuln Oil over this. And my Nuln Oil is getting a little like old and kind of more concentrated than I want it to be, if that makes sense. So like it's staining things quite black. But for the amount of edge highlighting I'm gonna do, it's kind of like what I want, because I get like a nice contrast. It's a very inefficient plan if the plan was to speed paint, but as I kind of explained, I speed paint, and I mean, I try every once in a while. Sometimes I can kind of do it. Maybe I'm like messily speed edge highlighting, but what most people consider speed painting, it's hard for me to get my brain to actually do that. As long as I enjoy the process, right? That's the important part. There was a bit of frustrating trial and error when it came to the terrain and like using these janky homemade mixes of paints. But once I finished edge highlighting that first Spartan I showed a moment ago, I felt good about it. I'm like, alright, I know what to do to get the remaining 3 done, and finally felt ready enough to stream. And thanks everyone who's been watching so far. Being away from the stream for so long, obviously I was a little nervous. Or just I had no idea how many people were gonna come watch, I guess. John's applying some water slide decals to the high-grade aerial. That's a good kit. And the Mirasol flight unit. That's what mine has too. Hello, 80. Also, I'm going by Laina now. I made a post about that like months ago, so understandable if you didn't see it. I think I remember to put something in the description of the stream. Yeah, it's Laina now, she, they pronouns. But again, it makes sense if you hadn't seen the post where I actually made that update. Because, you know, I've been a pretty bad YouTuber and haven't uploaded much, so that old YouTube algorithm might just be like, oh, well, we don't need to show their stuff to people anymore. Apparently I have 9 people watching though, so that's good. More than I thought. I would get this far into it anyways. We're at 16 minutes. Looks like the camera might be a little too bright. Actually, this will be ideal brightness for when the wash is applied, probably. Oh, let's give it 1 notch. One notch on the old aperture. So yeah, some parts of paint getting this flashpoint stuff done feels like I am cutting some corners for a little bit of speed painting, and then other parts not so much. But I'm okay with like putting in more effort than would be considered speed painting when it comes to like highlighting the main color of the magenta, because highlighting, like edge highlighting colors like magenta is like pretty fun and adds a nice solid pop. Thank you, 80. Alright, thanks for popping by, Andrew. I'll talk to you later. And yes, the hobbying again, I kind of got out of the... I mean, I've been building and kit bashing a lot this whole time, but actual brush to model, that's I've only gotten back to that in the last week or so. Now we're back to the streaming part. I suppose streaming is a hobby as well. A hobby in and of itself. I hadn't decided what color I want to paint this doohickey on the side, but I think I'm just going to go for a similar color as to what the Under Armour is. Just kind of like a dark gray that gets shaded with a decently strong black wash. Congrats on the spaghetti. I do think I want to turn on some more background lights just so I'm not totally painting in like a black void. I kind of want to just keep putting paint on the model though. I'll at least finish the pink on this one. The first coat of paint. The P3 paints P3 paints are nice, but they're not like ones you can get a solid coat on in one go. I guess it depends on the color, but I find they're a solid two thin coats type of paint, as in like literally applying two thin coats, not like the brand by Duncan Rhodes two thin coats, which ironically I hear gets applied on best in one thick coat. Which I can appreciate a paint that goes on nice in one thick coat. I haven't watched Duncan Rhodes painting tutorials since like before they released their own paint line though, so I assume when he's doing the painting tutorials, he still indicates you should paint on two thin coats. You know, with Duncan Rhodes, one could assume that would be the case. With the exceptions of, you know, metallics or washes, perhaps. Because, yeah, I kind of painted over the blue I'd put on the butt plate there. Because when I was doing the initial color blocking, and I was like, let's add the blue secondary color here, here, and here, and then when I finished the first one, I decided we want a bit less of a secondary color. Mostly just knees, thigh plates, shoulders, and arms. So 2 spots on the arms, 2 spots on the legs. Oh, and then, I mean, each Spartan in this crew has a different shaped helmet. So we got just one kind of element on each helmet. We'll also get the secondary color. And, you know, with the amount of edge highlighting I'm doing on the magenta, there doesn't need to be, like, that's the main accent for the armor, kind of, in a way. Or, like, if with the amount of edge highlighting, it's going to be busy enough, I don't need, like, a ton of the secondary color, if that makes sense. And for the visors, we just went for a basic metallic blue. Yeah, there's a lot more I could do to these models to, you know, if I was just like painting to extreme display level, obviously, but kind of like needed to reach a compromise because I got lots of stuff I want to paint, so I only want to spend so much time on a project like this, which is primarily a gaming project. And also these minis are nice, but they're not like the same kind of quality as like Conquest minis or just any like modern model kit on sprue. But a huge bonus of these minis is that they just come pre-assembled. There's absolutely no gluing or anything you need to do, which is a huge bonus. But you know, there are some mold lines here or there. But yeah, it's like a war game masquerading as a board game, or like existing in the purgatory between board games and war games. So I'm taking that into account when deciding how much effort to put in. Glad my videos could help you get into painting either way, John. Hand painting certainly is a bit more approachable than airbrushing, especially when you're starting out. Maybe approachable isn't the word I'm looking for. Maybe just cost effective. I don't think I've obviously said this before, that the airbrushing will be less intimidating. Like, some people will be more intimidated by the brush painting than they will the airbrushing, but it's a lot easier to get a hand painting setup going than an airbrushing one. It's all about just finding what tools work best for your setup and what you want to accomplish. $80, I think I have a few 30-minute mission parts throughout the random boxes and bags. I've never really actively picked up a 30-minute missions kit and like built it just as that though, or like used it as the basis for anything. Not because I'm not interested, it's just like I've just always had other model kits available. But I think the 30-minute missions kits and the 30-minute fantasy, 30-minute sisters all go pretty hard. I like me a good like high-grade tier, nice cost-effective, easily hand-paintable and kit-bashable mecha kit. You know, with hand painting, you don't always want to be painting a fancy real grade or master grade with moving mechanical gimmicks. They'll just tear up the brush work. But you know me, I paint Gunpla like I'm painting a big mini. Most of the time. Sometimes I paint a Gunpla traditionally. Most of the stuff I'm eager to get to painting now are stuff either for FLASHPOINT so I can run some events for it at work, and then same old Conquest as usual. You know, I got a freaking massive pile of Conquest stuff I want to paint. Bicep. Let's grab the sloppy brush and just reactivate this purple paint here. We should have enough to get through this spot in here. I haven't learned to memorize these specific Spartans' names. They're on like, you know, the stat cards of the game. I'm probably not gonna get around to like getting the rules for the game down memorized solidly until I have two squads painted to face off against each other, because you know, playing with fully painted minis is just more good. And it's totally not an excuse to procrastinate doing my rulebook reading homework. Oh nice, you got some 30-minute fantasies already? Yeah, Blue Parappa got, I think, like the Cleric or Priest, Liber Priest kit, and it's pretty nice. They're almost just like fun modular action figure sets with how good the posing was on that like inner frame. And just like how swappable the pieces are. Okay, a little tricky in here. Make sure I don't get too much on the gun. Yeah, assume the minis on the boxes for Halo Flashpoint, the studio paint job ones, those ones are probably like a better quality model than what comes in the box. Either that or like someone with just like really adept model cleanup skills, like fixed all the gaps and mold lines for the ones that get painted for the box art. Because when assessing the box art studio paint jobs to, you know, like plan how I was gonna paint these, those guys were looking pretty crispy. You know, as they should, because it's the box art. Chance when I get to work tonight, the Halo Flashpoint ODST box has arrived as well. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, so for the stuff I'm gonna be painting for events at the store, I got the Recon edition, so I got 2 squads of just kind of the basic baby's first Spartan team. The coworker's painting the other set of those. Then I got the Rise of the Banished set, which comes with the set of the Elite Sangili Mercenaries, and then 1 squad of Brutes. And then I got Fireteam Hydra, I think, and the Wargames expansion. So 2 squads of like not the basic Spartans. So those plus the ODST, I have a pretty, it'll be like a solid variety there. Got like 2 different kinds of aliens, 3 squads of Spartans, and 1 squad of ODST. Camera lagging a bit. Do we need a reset? Sure. Okay, just a little bit more paint I gotta do on the chest. Get that base coat solid enough for the wash. Yeah, when I tried to speed paint these and kind of like ended up not doing that, it felt like a bit of a mini painting boomer, not gonna lie. It's like those confangled contrast paints and slap chop. I ain't even tried that yet. I'm just still doing good old base coat wash edge highlight. Does the feet need any more? A little bit. Oh, I didn't really do this part of the leg. Might end up having to go back around to the purple to touch stuff up anyways, because really I should have been doing the gray Under Armour first, because that's more of an inner piece. Well, speaking of gray, let's do that. So we got P3 gray coats. How's that paint bottle shaking ASMR? course got a bit of crusty paint. You gotta take off the nozzle of these each time. But having a dropper bottle is pretty nice compared to what the pots for P3 paints used to be like. I think they're the new ones produced by Steamforged Games are in bottles, I think. Okay, I think we need to add just a little bit of black to this. So I don't want it to be too gray. And this is, of course, P3 Thamar Black. Yeah, let's have one more drop. Grab the dollar store mixing brush. Alright, I did want to put on more background lights. Yeah, there's a bit more definition there. Alright, now for some satisfying mixing. Is that gonna be dark enough? Probably. Yeah, I think that'll be good. And yes, it's gonna bleed with the magenta a bit, but it'll be fine. It's only 4 minis. There aren't gonna be issues with having to reproduce the exact same color mix over across multiple units of an army. Alright. So now we're getting the Under Armour bits. Gonna have to, of course, be a bit more concentrated and deliberate, so don't have to do a ton of pink cleanup after. But if we do, it's no biggie. Yeah, I can already tell that this foot is gonna need a bit of reinforcement on the pink, so I can just be a little imprecise because I'm gonna have to clean up the foot anyways. Did you lose the ability to type 80, or are you just commenting on a typo or something? And sometimes, of course, as you just saw, make a mistake, just try and wipe it off with your finger. It works a surprising amount of the time. And yeah, to avoid adding too much color variation to it, I think this strap on the side, I'm gonna just paint it the same gray. Otherwise, and like, I mean, it looks like leather straps kind of, but there isn't really any brown or like warm colors on any of these Spartans, so I don't want to introduce brown. And it'll still read that these are like, you know, straps. So I think it'll be fine. Yeah, if you look at like the box art for the Flashpoint stuff, they are painted with like a lot more color variation and a very like almost video game skin feel. With some of them will have like each member of the squad will have like a different color mix on all of them, and some of them have some interesting mixes that you would only find in Xbox Live, which, you know, respect. And like to make this little pouch thing look a little different from the Under Armour later, I can always highlight it in a different way. Maybe bring out a few details with some carefully applied silver. If you're watching this stream and I'm interested as to what time zones people are watching from, because it's the middle of the day for me right now. But I imagine some people might be watching from overseas where it is not the middle of the day. Thanks for chiming in, John. Yeah, I'm just mildly curious for if I ever do get around to setting that elusive stream schedule. My the main determining factors are gonna be my personal life schedule, either way. That's always good to know. Which time zones of people tend to watch the streams. My streams, I mean. Yeah, cleanup of the Under Armour hasn't been too bad, actually. I don't even know how much cleanup on the pink I'll have to do. Gotta get into this neck area though now. Yeah, when I finish this first squad of Spartans, the plan is to like just roll into the next squad of Spartans, but depends on how I feel after finishing this one. Might want to switch gears to a fantasy mini. We'll see. On to the next. Yes, this one has some similar kind of pouches strapped to the leg. you know, me being wanting to be unique and special, I of course don't want to paint things like, or I want to paint things with my own color schemes. So I don't think I don't want to paint any of the Spartans in like army green, like Master Chief. And I think of course with the ODST, who are normally black, I'll probably paint mine army green. We'll see. That part should have been base coated pink. Alright, we'll have to do that. So it's gonna be interesting painting the Spartans that are holding Covenant weapons, especially the energy sword. And you know, naturally, me being a contrarian, I was thinking I'll paint my energy sword a neon green. See how people react. I'll make the final call on that though once I know what color I'm painting that squad of Spartans first. Yeah, this one didn't need much cleanup on the under armor. We did need to fix the pink armor panel on the back though. I should be able to reactivate enough of the stuff on the palette. Paint's a little bit too thin there. Gotta push it around a bit so it doesn't pool or spill over where we don't want it. Alright, I'm just gonna put that one there so I can finish up that part on the back in a moment. Okay, yeah, we need to do the under armor on this one now. Oh, I missed a whole pink part of the leg on this guy. Let's just finish touching up this guy's back. Alright, while this pink paint is just on its last legs, let's see if I can get that part I just said I missed. one of those classic parts that most people won't ever set eyes upon. Yet my brain requires it to be painted properly. Maybe proper is not the right word. I think you know what I mean, though. Alright, gotta touch up the neck under armor a bit. I want the gloved fingers. I gotta paint the front part of his bicep too. Okay, looks like that's the last thing to do though. Before it's on to the cold gray, or gray blue, whatever you want to call it. There was an eyelash in the wet palette. And then after that, the gray, it's washing time. Gonna bathe them in oil. There's obviously too much gray on the palette, but that can just be saved for later. Alright, let's add just a little gray to the strap for these grenade-looking things. This gray blends in a bit with a metallic dark iron I got next to it, but I think we can bring out those details later post-wash with some metallics and or a second layer of wash, selective. I did, for the other one, I did apply a second layer of wash to the Under Armour and gun just to darken them down a bit. Get that contrast up. And the wash can kind of hide some mistakes as well, depending. Alright, now for, in the spirit of using janky homemade mixes with these Spartans, my cool gray is just a mix of two different, just random homemade mixes. I want to say roughly 50-50. It's kind of just vibes based. Because, like I said before, it's just 4 Spartans. A low stakes painting project. And this is a crusty dropper bottle. Getting powdery pigment everywhere. Alright, let's see how this looks. Yeah, it's looking about good enough for the base coat. This is really just for blocking. The real development happens post-wash. We've moved from the ambient part of the stream playlist to the classical music part. All from YouTube Audio Library, if anyone's wondering. Alright, this little thigh strap's gonna be a little tricky to paint because it's got those... I guess it's not a thigh strap, it's a thigh plate I'm talking about that has straps going over it. If we mess up a bit, it's cool. There's still plenty of gray on the palette to just quickly correct a mistake with. Other thigh plate is a bit more straightforward, thankfully. And the elbows. I do enjoy the process of like blocking the same kind of color pattern and mix for all four in the squad. And they all like kind of have the same armor, but all of their armor is slightly different. So they're all unique, but they're all also clearly part of like the same squad. And also, I've played a decent amount of the Halo games, but I have not played the Halo games that these sculpts of, or that like most of the Spartans in Halo Flashpoint are from, because from what I understand, they're pulling them from the later Halo games. But you know, a Spartan is still a Spartan. Let's just touch up those straps a bit. Alright, that one looks good enough for the wash. Just a quick stretch. Yeah, this homemade paint mix really separates a lot when it just sits on the palette and just gets darker. And I wish I was using my larger wet palette. As you can see, the paints are kind of bleeding into each other. Not enough where it's like a problem, but enough where it's like, I should have been more conservative with the space the terrain paints took up, which is like the green and tan there. So yeah, I can see the shoulder pads on this one looks significantly different. I mean, the helmet is the most distinguishing feature of all of them. Differentiating feature, I should say. This band is a little narrow, gotta concentrate. And the soundtrack's making my painting feel so regal right now. Okay, I did spot a few areas of pink that I think I need to touch up. Oh yeah, we gotta do the thigh plates though. It's important. Gotta distinguish those thighs. The main reason I painted the thigh plates is because it's like, well, the elbows and knees and shoulder pads have a very obvious spot to put a secondary color. But you know, with elbows and shoulders, there's two things on the arms, so I also wanted two things on the legs. And the thigh plates were like the next most obvious spot to put a different color on. And this one's pretty tricky to reach. Kind of just getting the edge only. And I messed up a bit. Let's mop that up. Or attempt to mop it up. Alright, now let's clean up a few areas. Can't remember where the other area I needed to clean up was now. No, there's at least one pink spot. Okay, I can kind of see one on the leg there. Maybe it's just the leg. Just barely have enough pink paint left here. Oh, I see the other spot. It's on another spot of the leg. Alright, that's probably good for the wash now. Okay, just one left. No, I did grab both the thigh plates. Okay. Yeah, interestingly, the thigh plates on each Spartan, more or less look exactly the same, but they have unique knee pads. I don't think the brutes and elites have the same amount of variation in their armor. But they're elites and brutes, so they look cooler anyways. Oops, made a mistake. Hello, Hector. Yes, I'm painting Halo Flashpoint minis. Or Halo Flashpoint is a war game. It's by Mantic Games. It's kind of like a hybrid war game where it plays on a grid and the minis are all pre-assembled, kind of like a board game. It's based off an old engine from a previous Mantic game called Dead Zone, I believe. And yeah, the war game, it doesn't simulate like UNSC on Covenant Combat or the Banished or whatever. It's like, imagine the Halo multiplayer sessions are just like translated into a tabletop game. Which was a little surprising to hear when this game was initially announced, but then like when people started reviewing the actual gameplay, it seemed pretty fun. So this is gonna be my shot at setting up a secondary game for when I'm not playing Conquest. You know, this one is not rank and flank at all. It's not even close, so it should be a good thing to add some variety and break things up. Still definitely gonna keep Conquest as my main game though. Use a bit of pink touch-up on this arm. Is it difficult? The rulebook has a few like layout issues, or like the rulebook could be written or organized a little bit better, but the game itself, it's not super, like a super complex, it's not like 40k or like Infinity where you have to have like a strong knowledge of what like other armies in the game do. So maybe it's not like a super basic, like learn in 5 minutes war game, if that makes sense. So maybe like light to medium level of crunch. Cause I'm trans, Hector, maybe, I don't remember, late May. So 6 months ago I changed my name to Laina. I mean, I shaved the beard before then, but the thing is, this all happened after the last YouTube video I uploaded. So, you know, like I said to AD earlier, it's understandable if you never saw the community post I made about it. But yeah, I'm going by Laina now. She, they pronouns. No longer a bro. Still a nerd, though. As you can see, painting miniatures. Right, we need pink. Yeah, you can go read it if you like, Hector. The main thing to know is just the new name and the new pronouns. Getting back to these streams is more or less going to be the same kind of streaming I was doing before, just sharing the mini painting that I got to get done when I got the energy to stream at the same time. Oh, where's that other area of pink I needed to touch up? A little runny there. Oh, right, it was on the... around the elbow pad is where I spotted it. Thank you, Hector, I appreciate that. I've merely just unlocked a new form of myself that's more true. Okay, just need a wee touch up on those bits on the side of the helmet. How do I do the... Okay, I re-highlighted the visor of this one after doing the wash. Also, for those of you who weren't here earlier, this is what the Spartan will look like after the wash and highlight. So you can see significantly more contrast. Gonna be putting a fairly thick black wash. I don't think I'm in godhood now. I don't want to get too high on my own supply now. I'm just more comfortable with myself is all. Which everyone deserves. Okay. I think it's time for some wash. Not on that one though, because that one's got to dry. And of course, gonna switch to a crappier brush for the wash. To the playlist I'm listening to right now, it's not a like online playlist, it's just like a folder of MP3s on my computer. I'm assuming you mean by playlist you mean the background music, but it's all just stuff that's, you know, usable on stream that I got from YouTube Audio Library, because, you know, copyright's a thing. So I just have like a hard copy on my computer of like 26 instrumental tracks for the background of streams. And it's all either like music artists have given the rights to use for streaming, or stuff like classical music that's in the public domain. Just gotta clean, look how crusty this bottle is. I just gotta like manage this a bit, so every time I open it, it doesn't just leave chunks. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe up a bit on this paint from the, actually I think, yeah, the sponge is dried up enough. I think I can leave this in the palette and it shouldn't bleed into the sponge. Alright, so we got our good old Nuln Oil here. This bottle's like kind of on its last quarter perhaps, and it feels like it's gotten a little more concentrated, so it's like really staining things black. Which I wasn't expecting, but now that I've done it for the one Spartan and like edge highlighted accordingly, I'm happy with the results. So we are going to keep using this Nuln Oil. Let me just sweep up his dusty, dried up acrylic ink. Carefully place the Nuln Oil in a way where I will hopefully not tip it over. Okay, what brush was I using? This one? Alright, which one I use is the most dry? See a tiny pink spot I need to fix on this one, of course. Whoops. Silly me. Ah yes, good old Ode to Joy. Alright, that's good enough. Yeah, this one's pointing, so naturally it's probably like the leader one. Alright, let's get Nuln Oil in. If I accidentally spill the pot, it'll be on stream for everyone to see. Alright, and you're gonna see this get stained pretty heavily. Which is the plan. Not necessarily the most efficient plan, but it's what we're doing. We're just getting back in the saddle here. The important part is that I'm doing stuff again. Doing stuff, well, sharing it with you all, I should say. I have been doing stuff while I've been away from YouTube. It just hasn't been a lot of brush work. Lots of gluing and cutting. AKA building and kit bashing models. Because you know me, can't stop kit bashing. I'm really eager to get to, like, actually painting good chunks of my kit bash to Nord's army, but I do feel fairly personally obligated to finish another, it's probably like 15 to 20 models of my 100 kingdoms, so I can get like a proper, maybe not proper, but like a playable 2,000 point list just ready and painted. And then I got like solid 2,000 point painted lists for Spires and 100 kingdoms. And again, with the washes, you gotta work fast so you don't get some weird drying lines from areas that dried up before you could finish applying it evenly across the whole surface. And in the dry air where I am, that is, things do creep up on you with the speed at which they dry sometimes. But again, we are going to be doing a decent amount of highlighting on top of this, so areas where there's too much wash applied can be corrected. Maybe because my painting involves a lot of back and forth and correcting of mistakes, and that's just what I'm used to. That I don't work well with the like contrast paint type speed painting methods. Excuse me. Okay, just need a bit more on this side of the gun. Okay, I think that's good. It's way darker now, not vibrant enough. That's why we're going to be doing a bunch of edge highlighting later. Any tips for starting hobbyist? The best tip is to just start painting and not be afraid of making mistakes. More practical advice, I'd say starting out, all you really need to worry about is applying base coats. So just focus on applying those neatly, like painting within the lines, so to speak. If you have like a local hobby store or game, probably more like a game store. Some local game stores that, you know, also sell miniature painting supplies. Sometimes they have painting days or painting events set up that are beginner friendly. The game store I work at does. I can't speak for every game store, but if you have something like that in your community of some kind, those can be handy. There's also a lot of free resources on YouTube. Like Goobertown Hobbies has a pretty solid, like, absolute beginner painting tutorial series. And yeah, try not to compare yourself to others too much. Kind of good general advice for anything that I heard from one of the Green brothers. I can't remember which one. It's like, everything you do your best to like get it to about like 80% done and then move on, because usually 80% done is like a good realistic spot to actually call it done. because perfectionism is an easy trap to fall into. I would avoid trying to like get away with painting with like cheapo dollar store paints or anything, because the experience painting with those can sometimes be like just annoying and frustrating to the point where it'll just turn you off the painting process. Like, you still want the painting process to be enjoyable. So like, you could get a fairly nice starter brush set to get some nice brushes, so you can like have a good, or like, so you have a good tool to work with for the detailed parts that matter. But then like, get a pack of crappy dollar store brushes for your mixing on the palette and like getting paint out of pots and whatnot. So then when it comes to like your nice brushes that you want to last longer, you don't have to use those for like the messy mixing and whatnot. Because no brush, you can't really like do much to really extend the life of a brush that long, but if you like take care of them, they will like hold a point longer. Yeah, probably like for a good cost-effective starting like paint set or brand to go with, and Vallejo is like pretty solid quality at an affordable price. Army Painter is pretty good too. Paint is like a little more expensive, but very good for mini painting. You know, Army Painter makes sense. I'd say avoid Games Workshop hobby products, unless there's like a really specific effect you need. But a lot of like Games Workshop hobby products, especially the tools, are kind of overpriced just because of the brand name. Oops, made a little mistake there. I think this one's sufficiently washed up. No problem, you're welcome, Hector. Oh, and yeah, does every miniature need to have the same color scheme? No, you paint things whatever color you want. I just chose the colors for these Spartans based off the colors I like to paint and the paints I wanted to use. Alright, have a good one, Hector. See you later. Thanks again for visiting. Alright, I do have to work later this afternoon, and this wash will need some amount of time to dry, and the stream is coming up on 90 minutes, so after I'm done washing this one, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. But the most important thing accomplished in this stream was just getting back to streaming in general. It's a bit too soon for me to commit to saying any kind of stream schedule, but now that I've done this first one back, hopefully I can just keep doing them regularly. I think I should be able to do another one during the day tomorrow. Obviously, there's still going to be lots more work to do on these Spartans. Also, I'm getting perhaps a little stinky. I need to take a shower. You know, this mini painting is strenuous stuff. Can probably also hear my voice getting a little haggard, and my water bottle is empty. So really, I got plenty of excuses to end this stream. I'm glad it's gone pretty well though. I call this a success, and I appreciate everyone who stopped by. Yeah, and hopefully there's no random BS copyright claims after this. Those happen on streams sometimes. Some random malicious bot is like, I'm gonna try and make the sense of claim the sense of ad revenue off this random person's video. Because I actually have the rights to this public domain song. Or in the past when I used different music, be like, I definitely have the rights to this song that is only obtained through this service that I definitely am not the owner of. I'm just rambling now. This was a long time ago. I think plenty of us are aware of the silliness of how YouTube copyright can be. Okay, I think that one is sufficiently washed. Okay, if you have any last minute questions need to get in, now's the time. I'll tentatively say I'll try to stream again tomorrow. Alright, well thanks again for coming to the stream, everybody. It feels good to be back. And I'm pleased with the amount of people that checked it out. And we've got plenty more Halo Flashpoint to paint, as well as plenty of Conquest to paint later. So I will see you next time. Have a good one.